Today we are going to start looking at some segment information. Okay, being able to do our midpoint, looking at segment addition, doing bisectors. So when we look at that, we have the ruler postulate. With the ruler postulate, it basically kind of allows me to measure or to figure things as I go. The endpoints of a line segment can be matched with real numbers, allowing for line segments to be measured. So if I know my two endpoints, then I can subtract those and I can figure out how long that is. But I'm not always able to measure things. So that's where that segment addition postulate comes into play. Where the segment addition postulate basically says that you have a segment from A to C that has been split and divided. So that the length of A to B plus the length of B to C is still the same length that I started with a little segment called A to C. One of the first things you need is to make sure that if it's not coming with a picture, you get a picture. So let's take that first example. It says L is between J and K. So I'm going to draw me a segment called J, K, and somewhere in there is a point L. Now I'm going to label what I know. J to L is 2x minus 3. The length of L to K is 3x plus 5. And the length from J all the way up to K has a length of 42. Now, the thing about it is you have a segment called J to K that I know is 42. That is being made up with two smaller segments. Okay, those two smaller segments would be your 2x minus 3 plus that 3x plus 5 has to equal to the entire length of 42. So that is setting up that algebra problem, and now I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. 2x plus 3x is your 5x. Negative 3 plus 5 is going to be your positive 2. And that is still equaling to that length of 42. Well, there I'm going to have to move my 2 over. So I would subtract 2 from both sides. So that's going to leave me with that 5x equaling to 40. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So the x that's going to make this happen is going to have to be 8. Okay. Now, notice that if I look at the bottom, they're not just asking me for the value of x. They actually want me to find the length of J to L and L to K. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go to J to L, and that was equal to my 2x minus 3. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in 8. So 2 times 8 minus 3. So 2 times 8 is 16. 16 minus 3 is, so the length of J to L is my 13. Then I'm going to do my L to K, which was my 3x plus 5. So this is 3 times 8 plus 5, just replacing that x with that value of 8. So 3 times 8 is 24 plus 5. So the length of L to K would be 29. So now I have to find that value of x by using your segment addition. Then I can come up and substitute it in when I get that value and tell you the length of each one. So let's do one more. It says A is between C and T. So we'll get me a little segment. C, T. Somewhere in between there is the letter A. And C to A is 4x plus 6. So I'm going to come label. A to T is 7x minus 6. And the whole length from C to T was the length of 132. Okay, so once again, I want to set everything up small plus small. So this small plus this small equals to the big. So I'm going to have my 4x plus 6 plus my 7x minus 6 equals that 132. And just like I did on the previous one, I'm going to clean it up a little bit. So I've got 4x's plus 7x's. It's 11x. Positive 6 and negative 6 is going to give me 0. That's going to equal to 132. So if I take 132, I'm going to have to divide this by 11 so I can get 1x. So x is going to equal to 12. Now, sometimes that's exactly what they want. They just want me to find that value that's going to make everything happen. But when I look at the bottom, it says find the length of C to A and the length of A to T. So this is where once again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to substitute it in. So C to A was that 4x plus 6. So I'm going to replace that x with my value. So that's 4 times 12 plus 6. So 4 times 12 is 48 plus 6. So the length of C to A is 54. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the length of A to T. So A to T is my 7x minus 6. So that's 7 times 12 minus my 6. 7 times 12 is 84. And I want to take 6 away from that. So my length of A to T will be 78. And that is using that segment addition to be able to find the length of different segments. Then I have what they call a segment bisector. One thing you need to always remember, bisect means to cut into two equal parts. So if I see something being a bisector, bisected, it all means I hit at the middle. So I'm going to have two congruent pieces. So with a segment bisector is a line, ray, or segment that divides a line segment into two equal parts. So when I look at this, line M bisects the little segment called AC. Therefore, I know that A to B is equal to B. Whoops. Let me erase that real quick. B to C. And these little markings right here are congruent marks. Well, not doing very good. But these are congruent marks. They mean that little segments and little things are going to be congruent to each other. Okay, so you want to make sure you kind of start recognizing those things as we go along. Okay, so now we have a couple of examples. It says RS bisects TU. So again, I want a picture. Here's my TU. This would be my RS because it's going to bisect. Okay, so that means that it's going to be equal. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this congruent to that one just to make sure that I remember that it's supposed to be at the middle. So it says that T to Q. Okay, so when this TU and RS bisect each other, we're going to intersect right there at point Q. So that now I can look at it and go that T to Q then is going to be 5x minus 9. And Q to U is going to be 15 minus x. Now here's the thing. Those little congruent marks and the bisects means equal. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go that my length of 5x minus 9 is going to equal to the length of 15 minus x. And then I'm going to shuffle stuff around to simplify and solve for that x. So I'm going to add x here, add an x there. So that's going to give me 6x minus 9 equals to 15. Then I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So that's going to give me 6x equals 24. I'm going to divide by 6. So the x I'm looking for would be 4. So that is going to take care of finding that value of x. Now I need to find the length of T to U. So that means I need to come up here and I need to plug in to find out how long this is. So 5 times 4 is 20 minus 9 is going to give me a length of 11 right there. And then if I do 15 minus 4 up here, I'm going to get a length of 11. So the length of T to U is 11 plus 11, which is going to give me a length of 22 for that little segment. Okay, doing the same thing on example 4. I have a segment MN that is going to bisect JL. So the first thing I want to do is get my little segment up here. JL. MN is going to bisect it at point K. And again, I might be a little bit off on my little sketch, so I'm going to mark it as being congruent. So J to K is that X minus 3. And K to L, they said, was 13 minus 3X. So since they are being bisected, they are equal. So I'll come over here and do X minus 3 is equal to 13 minus 3X. And again, just like I did in the previous example, I'm going to add things around. So I'm going to add 3X's here, which means I would add 3X's on the other side. So this is going to give me 4X minus 3 is equal to 13. Then I would add 3 to both sides. So that's going to give me that 4X is equal to 16. Divide by 4, X would equal to 4. But now I still want to know the length of J to L. So I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to plug in. X is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. And here it's 3 times 4 is 12. 13 minus 12 is 1. So the length of J to L is 1 plus 1, which is going to be 2. Okay. And the last thing that we'll talk about today is a midpoint. Your midpoint is the point in the middle of a line segment. So it acts like a bisector to that little segment. So a point on the line segment that divides it into two equal segments is the halfway point. So therefore you have a midpoint again, which like a bisector is going to split it in half. And remember what the little congruent marks mean. That in a midpoint, if M is the midpoint of AB, therefore I can say that the length of A to M is the same length as M to B, just like the bisector. Just different terminology, but kind of the same idea. So for this example, I'm looking to say that M is the midpoint of AB. So I'm going to get me a little segment here called A to B. I'm going to see where I think the middle is, and that's where I'm going to put M. And also remember, put your congruent mark so that it means what you want it to. So I know that A to M is 7X plus 4. And I know that M to B is 9X minus 16. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with the bisector. You're going to have that 7X plus 4 equals 9X minus 16. I would subtract my 7X's from here and on the other side, subtract that 7X. So that's going to leave me with a positive 4 is equaling to a 2X minus 16. I would add 16 to both sides. So 2X is going to equal to 20. Divide by your 2. So X is going to equal to 10. Now, When I look at the bottom, they want to know the length of A to B. So again, I'm going to do it just like I did the previous one. Take your 10 back and substitute it in. So you'll go 7 times 10 is 70. 70 plus 4 is 74. Your M to B is 9 times 10, which is 90. And I'm going to take away 16. And I get 74. And that's exactly what I should see. And then to get to the length of A to B, that's 74 plus 74, which would be 148. Okay, and on the last one, E is the midpoint of DF. So you're going to get your little segment called DF. E is the midpoint. So again, mark it to mean what you want to. It doesn't have to be a perfect little picture. D to E. Whoops, I didn't finish this. D to E is going to be 5x plus 4. And the length of D to F is going to be 78. Now this one is going to set up a little bit differently because you know a small and big. And you cannot put those two things equal. But I do know that whatever the length of D to E is, E to F is the same. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump my 5x plus 4 just like it from one side to the other side because they are equal. Now I'll kind of go back and pick up the little segment addition. My 5x plus 4 plus my 5x plus 4 is going to equal to 78. So 5 plus 5 is 10 x's. 4 plus 4 is 8. That is still equaling to my 78. I would subtract 8 from both sides. So I'm going to get 10x is equal to 70. Divide by 10. So my x would be 7. Now to look at the other side, I just need to know the length of D to E. So I'm going to take my 7. I'm going to bring it up here and substitute it in. 5 times 7 is 35. 35 plus 4 is going to make a 39. And that is what we're going to be working on today in class.